All right, we are good to go. What's up, guys? This is Nate Lechner here, host of the Be Better podcast. Here with a dear friend of mine, Eric Kohler. Eric, say hi, please.
What's going on, guys?
Awesome. So the whole purpose of this, guys, is that I'm going to start this little podcast thing here to focus on a couple of different things. One is, being better physically. I think all of us here, even including myself, obviously not Eric, but, a lot of us are lacking a lot of the physicality side of just being healthy and being better, and it really all plays a factor. The second part of that is mental health as well. Plan is to talk to some mental health experts and people that have had success in those fields, and other people that just have fought their own journeys and won those battles and fought those wars, the whole deal. Last is spiritually as well. Not saying one religion or the other. I'm just saying a form of spirituality in some aspect, I think, is vital to the pillars of a healthy life and the correct foundation. So, with that being said, the whole purpose of this is just to share some good ideas, tips and tricks, learn a little bit more about people, connect other people to other people. You never know how many people out there that Eric could possibly help or change their life or influence, or even vice versa, people reaching out to him and change his life as well. So that's kind of the whole gambit here, the whole idea behind everything. With that being said, Eric, man, if you'd love to just jump into a little bit about your story, your background, what you're doing now, what your aspirations are, I think that would set the tone for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, man. So I think if you would have asked me 5 years ago, that would be really hard to piece together. And now that I've found that straight line that I'm headed towards, because, a lot of people, when they're trying to run a straight line, they go off course so many times. They veer off it. There's swirls. There's no consistency. Once you start building that, it's real easy to talk about where you want to go, who you are, and what you're doing. That took me personally a while to figure out. So, I would say back in 2016, I was still in pretty good physical shape, but, the one thing that a lot of people tend to lack is up here, right in that's 6 inches between your ears. And that is so important to not neglect. And I'm a prime example of, you could have all the damn muscle in the world, all the resources and tools in the world, but if you don't use those, if you don't utilize those tools, if you don't use those resources, you're not going to be able to do much, especially if you're neglecting the one muscle group that is the control center for every fucking thing that we do in the world. Our decisions, our actions, our thought process, everything. So with that being said, back in 2016, I had a near-death experience that kind of shook my life up a bit, right? And it was about a 700-foot car barrel roll. And I'm like, well, man, this is it. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy. The whole saying of your life flashes before your very eyes. It's true, man. I'll never forget that. But that was kind of the starting point of where things started to shift. Like a spiritual awakening, if you will, because that's real shit. And ever since, I've been going through a lot of change, a lot of uphill battles, just to fix this, because nothing else was working. Like think about, a video game character. You maxed all the other attributes out, but the one most important thing, and that is the brain. I wasn't reading, wasn't actually eating that well. I wasn't staying up with my water as well as I could. Like, dude, there's so much simple, basic shit that is necessary for someone to execute on a better life for personal development. And it took me this long to figure out that I wasn't doing any of those things. And one thing that really helped me out with trying to figure those simple shit out and executing it for a long time, because that's what it takes, is 75 Hard. 75 Hard is a program for mental toughness specifically, and everybody gets it backwards. They think it's a fitness challenge. They think it's some sort of other bullshit. It's not. That was created by my CEO, Andy Frisilla. That's what I'm doing now, right? So I'm at First Form. I am on Andy Frisilla's team in the back of the warehouse. That is a huge earned privilege and an honor to be at this point in my very life. I'm actually walking around HQ right now. Look, we're doing an episode about personal development, and I'm already giving a few of you guys tips that I'm already doing. I'm out getting movement in, I'm out getting sunlight in, I'm out getting steps in while I'm doing this. Those are part of the basic principles and things that people need to realize. All it takes is for you to start living a better life, and you compounding interest, right? You keep doing it for a long time, you start to go in a real good direction and build momentum towards personal excellence. And right now, that is the most important thing for us to do. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion, quoted by Andy Frisella himself, actually. So kind of to build off a little bit of that, 75 Hard teaches you to do things like reading 10 pages every day. It is so crucial to keep that mind ticking, man. You know, everybody thinks reading is for nerds and all this other bullshit. No, man, it's for people who want to dominate. It's for people who want to be fucking successful. That's what books are for. You know, everybody misconstrues that theory with the book guys who were only trained to memorize answers for a test. That is a completely different conversation. So with that being said, 75 Hard also teaches you to get your ass outside regardless of the elements and get in one of two workouts, and one of them has to be outside. I've been doing that for a long time just by default. Completing this program, I'm literally living the lifestyle of somebody who did 75 Hard and still practically does. Because I'm always outside walking now. I'm still working out every day. And part of 75 Hard is getting 2 45-minute workouts. Like I said, one of them has to be outside. And it's just a program that trains people to start building the foundational steps of someone who wants to live a better life, mentally, physically, emotionally. Track your food, track your water. If you can't measure it, it can't be managed. And that is the whole principle and design by this stuff, right? So staying on a diet, no cheat meals, no alcohol. Everybody thinks it's such a hard principle and concept to do all these things, and it's really not. You start with one day and you make it about one day at a time. You don't look at the finish line at all, man. And I'm telling you right now, if people would give that a genuine shot, it would change their life, because that's what changed my life. I like I said, back in 2016, I was just this dude, you know, it worked out occasionally, it looked good, but like, dude, I was doing all these other things wrong. And you know what fixed it? Those things within that program, because it was supposed to be a mental toughness program. And ever since, I've been building my career at First Form. This October, it'll be 3 years for me. I'm no longer at an entry-level position, but I will tell you, a lot of days are hard here because a lot of us are in different departments building this shit, building Andy and Sal's legacy out every day, and it's turning into something really badass. We went from this giant building at HQ to opening up 2 more facilities and buildings right across the street, and that's all because we're building this out. And we have 2 genuine people, Sal and Andy, who give a fuck about, you know, not only our people, but wanting to create a better world. It's been said a lot, we're one of the last beacons of hope in this world because we actually care that people are succeeding in the world. We want people to succeed in the world. We're a business culture that wants people healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and we teach all those people how to do those things every day through our app, our social media presence, our coaches, our remote coaches, or maybe it's just someone like me who is posting their lifestyle every day and leading by example and showing people, hey, this is how you do it, this is what it takes, and it works. And if you stick with it long enough, it does fucking work. And that's kind of the general basis of what I've been doing and what it's about. And I'd like to think that our community and our culture really provides, you know, answers for people. So I feel like this is a great starting point for what we want to talk about and where we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you said a couple big things that I really want to touch on. One, obviously, you practice what you preach. I can't tell you how many other companies out there, people, ideas, you know, everybody promoting a product or a business, they don't practice what they preach, right? I mean, if you go out there and buy any form of shampoo on the shelf from like Johnson & Johnson, right? You think the people at Johnson & Johnson are using their Johnson & Johnson shampoo? Probably not, right? Not to say a company's name, but just an example. Not sure if that's the case. But 99% of people out there that preach, they never practice it themselves. So you're a living example of that. I've seen a couple other people in the First Form HQ that also work there that are part of that tribe, if you will. Some people want to call them a cult. I've always said it's a tribe. And the tribe aspect is everybody's helping everybody to survive. That's a tribe, right? A cult is, hey, there's a leader and he's going to milk everybody for what it's worth. So I firmly believe that First Form family is a tribe. Everybody's always seemed to be super helpful, even to people like myself outside the tribe. Every interaction I've ever had with anybody from First Form has always been positive. It's always been in the right direction. It's always been, hey, how can I help you, right? No matter if because I take some of their products myself. I take their creatine, love that. I've ate some of their bars as well, protein, some other things as well. Perfect, great products. Can't recommend it enough. But every time I'm there, even if I'm not buying something of high dollar amount, right? Like the creatine's low cost, it's like $30, right? Even when I'm not there dropping a couple $100, people are still treating me like I just bought the whole store, right? So I love that you're practicing what you're preaching. Another thing I wanted to pick up on too is when you talked about the reading, right? I've never personally tried 75 hard. I definitely think now that I'm motivated to try to, I think I would, hopefully, I would like to do pretty well at it, but I know it's all up here, right? It's on the mental side. Would you be surprised if, I told you a statistic is like most people, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's like 80%. 80% of people after high school never pick up a book again. Would that even surprise you?
I don't think it does surprise me. And in fact, it seems like a very accurate statement because, just to kind of shift gears here, the reason that is because, like I said earlier, most people think books are just for school and nerds who, like, dude, there's a reason some of those nerds are so fucking successful. It's because they never stop, man. It's free information. There's a reason why people don't pick up books anymore. It's because, that's it. I'm done. I don't ever need to do it again. And I don't ever need to fill my mind with healthy information. Like even doing audio podcasts once in a while. Like maybe that's your jam, dude. It's the same principle of filling that brain with healthy things that helps you lead a better life, live a better life, and show other people how to do it. And the real, I was going to try to refrain from doing this, but it's the truth, man. Like, we live in a literal matrix world where a lot of people are dependent on these institutionalized systems that they think is how you're supposed to live your life. And what I mean by that is comfortability, right? A lot of people have gotten comfortable with how the world is nowadays and how it operates, and they got this wrong mentality of how it's supposed to look. Why is that? Because a lot of globalist leaders in the world want people dependent on that system. Why? Because if you're fat, you're hard to it's real easy to control people if they're fat, sick, and unhealthy. And if they're fat, sick, and unhealthy, what tends to happen? They need medicine. If they go take medicine, that is a reoccurring plastic hard-pressed tablet filled with all kinds of bullshit, synthetic garbage system. These things that just riddle your mind with cancer properties. I'm just going to flat out fucking say it, dude. Like, I'm just giving you, a lead and a jump into where I'm trying to go with this, because it's a real thing. You have to unplug from the system that so many people have been plugged in. And a lot of us out here at First Form, we're looked at as a cult because a lot of us, if not all of us, are unplugged from it. We're unplugged from it because we understand that if you stay in that plugged in world of the matrix system that's been created in our society nowadays, it's hard to do anything. That's why people feel depressed. That's why people feel unmotivated. That's why people have a hard time finding purpose in life, because they're still plugged into the system. And the idea of, I need to get married early and have kids. I don't have time. I'm tired. I can't pick up books. But they have 2 hours to watch a movie. Well, why not substitute that fucking time with something else that helps you personally develop, man? Like, it's these indoctrinized narratives and it's a giant propaganda machine that the World Economic Forum has created in our society so they can profit off of our division, us fighting over stuff, what's true and what isn't. It's so easy to see. The more that you personally develop, it's like, damn, dude, I unplugged myself from all that. I'm independent as fuck. I don't need to take medicine because I take care of myself. I don't need to be dependent on a system that keeps me infiltrated with laziness, apatheticness. unmotivated to do anything, dude, because guess what? When you have a mass population that is like that, it's real easy to keep them controlled. Do you ever see that movie, Wall-E? That's a perfect fucking example of it.
Yeah.
All these people got so fat that they're riding around all these machines. I don't know. I forget the general premise of that movie, but all I can remember is the director of that movie understood what was happening to our world. All these people got fat. They couldn't move to the point where they got to ride on these airship like riding scooter things, whatever the hell it's called. And you just got to step back and ask yourself, is that where our world's headed? Maybe not to that extent, but it's like, man, it doesn't seem like a lot of people want this lifestyle because they're afraid to jump into it. Once you jump into the water, man, you got to start swimming. And when you start swimming, it gets a lot easier. And then you realize how many miles you just swam and look back. It's like, damn, I can do this. I do have the time. I do have the tools. It's not going to happen overnight, but I can meet the tools at the 50-yard line and make a great life out of itself. It's just, exactly what I'm doing right now, dude. Like, you know how many other environments I could have been in for this, but I chose to get outside. I chose to get under the sun. I chose to keep moving because everybody wants to make excuses why they can't live a better life, why they can't live a personal excellence, and the examples that we need in this country, this world, desperately more than ever now. If we're all independent, if we don't need the World Economic Forum's help, what's left for them? Nothing. And that's exactly why this machine that's been driven the last 50 so years has gotten to the point where it is now. The reason the world state is at where it's at now is because a lot of people became victims of this. You don't hear, back in 2020, when that pandemic broke out, how many journalists and media outlet corporations did you hear talk about build your immune system to combat the virus, drink water, eat healthy? You didn't hear any of that shit. Why? It's real easy. Because they know that stuff works. And if they don't, that's ignorant as fuck. And you should be teaching these people how to combat something so insignificant to the point where it had over a 90% survival rating. And who did it attack? Here's another good example. Who did it attack? What was the general audience that it did affect? People who are fat, lazy, completely out of shape. That's who it targeted. That's who it preyed on. Not necessarily the elderly or, children. It's people who weren't feeding themselves the proper things in life to keep being successful. The last thing I'll say about that is I didn't inject myself with anything, and they told me I was going to die. They told me that I was a threat to society. If you ask me, a lot of us here are that same exact way, and we're thriving. We're building shit. Me and my buddy who are trying to build out Andy's brand want to be CEOs of his brand and his company, either at the next building or however long it takes. You just can't stop. You can't listen to these people who are trying to corner you and keep you in that corner, man. So I got off there on a little tirade, but it's important. It's real shit.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I would say too, I think the biggest part of that is, forget about all the names and people we just talked about and situations. It's all about the word you said at the beginning, right? Comfortability, right? And when people are comfortable, they stop. When people get complacent, they stop, right? And, I was that way for a long time. I remember when, 2019, started making some good money, right? Get complacent, right? You get lazy, you get in a good relationship, you get fat, right? Because, instead of going out there to work to better yourself and make yourself happy, now you have everything you could ever want at home. You have a good paying job, you have a person, a partner that loves and cares about you no matter what you look like, right? So you get lazy, you get complacent. And I was a victim of that myself, self-induced, right? It's a lot easier to come home every day after a hard day's work, right? I'm using quotations because I worked in an office, so how hard was it, right? I wasn't building fucking concrete slabs or, a metal worker for any means. But, these people, like 90% of us, I'd say, work in a comfortable setting to where they're out there getting complacent. And they just go home and they'll spend 2 hours watching Grey's Anatomy, Breaking Bad, whatever it is, right? All these great shows that I like, right? Righteous Gemstones, God bless, they're fucking awesome shows. But there's got to be a time and place for it, right? Instead, they could have been out there reading a book, walking around, exercising, anything. Going to the grocery store and buying healthier versions of food, right? So these are all factors that I've been a victim of that I've tried to correct in my life. And, I think as well as when you're dependent on another person or substance, right? Or a company or a brand or anything, when you're dependent on anything but yourself, you're at the mercy of that person or organization or product, whatever it is. So you're a slave essentially, right? And the biggest thing for me is I've cut a lot of that out of my life, and I'm not going about me. This is more about you, of course. But I haven't had caffeine in over 10 years. Caffeine is the number one addicting substance in the world. More people use it than anything else. I cut it out of my life completely. I used to be a guy that drank like 7 Dr. Peppers a day, right? Because I love that caffeine. No caffeine for me. Haven't drank alcohol in over a year. Don't do any recreational drugs. Don't do anything like that. So all I take is a couple multivitamins in the morning. I take an allergy pill because if I don't, my sinuses would literally kill me. But so I try to be as independent from from every company out there. And I think if people would listen to what the brand and the message that you just said, right? And it doesn't have to be a hey, first form or nothing idea, right? There's a lot of things that people can do on their own, but just to live healthy, right? They can take first form and your model of what you're saying, right? Let's say they hate the company for whatever reason, right? They can still take the model, which has been proven successful in hundreds of thousands of times, right? And make those changes into their life for the better, right? Going into the proper settings, eating the proper food, getting the proper exercise, spending time outside. People forget how much benefit it is just to spend 30 minutes in the sun, right? There's a reason why people in warmer climates are generally more happier than people who are not in warmer climates, right? And people might, say, oh, it's because they have better bars and an ocean and hotter girls or hotter guys, whatever the hell, right? But the reality of it is it's more vitamin D absorption from the sun, right? So I think there's just core principles that you live by, that I try to live by as best I can. I'm obviously not a zealot like you are, of course, but these key principles that people should try to just incorporate a little bit extra life. And you said another thing earlier that was really interesting to me. You said compounding. I use that word all the time. Typically, when it talks about money, people don't ever think to equate it when it comes to health, right? Compounding. If you just did something one day, and then you did it the same day the next day, right? At the end of the year, you're 365% better. And that's going to compound, right? Because every day you're getting a little stronger, getting a little faster, getting a little leaner, getting a little healthier. And when you read on the mental side, you're getting just a little more sharper. Your mental game is growing. Your vocabulary is growing. And I'm not saying, for me, I read a lot of financial books. I read a lot of, entrepreneurial books, if you will, right? Even people out there that read the 4,000-page fiction books, it's much better to read one of those than to not read it all.
100%, man. You're hitting on things that are it's basic principles on how to be, live a better life. Like, nobody's gonna come save you. No one, no one's gonna wave the magic wand and say, okay, here you go. Here's everything you need to be successful, right? So, you have to be able to, like you were talking about, you have to meet people at the 50-yard line. See these things behind me? That's our core values, dude. Can't really see it too well, but I wanted to walk in here dude, and I'll start rattling them off. Believe, build positive and fun relationships, always be learning, be selfless, be enthusiastic, take initiative, loyalty, lead by example, go the extra mile, stay humble, be disciplined, accept responsibility. Those are our 12 core values we live by. And a lot of those have to do with action. A lot of those have to do with meeting people at the 50-yard line. You can't meet people or tools, like you were saying. You can have the best tools, and that's what we preach here. We have the best tools in the world. People still got to put in the work. People still have to go take that action and meet the tools at the 50-fucking-yard line so that they can be successful. Like I said, no one's going to come wave the magic wand and say, all right, here you go. Here's everything you need to be successful, man. It's a poor concept, and a lot of that has to do with our world being indoctrinated with bullshit mentalities and narratives that so many people have fallen victim to, man. Like, you don't need fucking big pharma. You don't need to be dude, I took everything in the fucking book for depression and anxiety. You know what I did? I started getting up off my ass and doing something about it. I don't take jack shit anymore, other than what you said, the proper supplements in vegetable capsules, might I say, because there's a big difference between vegetable capsules and hard-pressed plastic, like I was saying, that your body can't even fucking dissolve, and or causes more problems, you know? So, like, that's why we got, you know, things like Microfactor, dude. That's an all-encompassing, complete nutrient pack that you can take that fills every possible micronutrient gap that you might be deficient in. Who else is providing that for people? I don't see anybody else providing those things for people. Instead, they tell you, okay, well, you need medicine, you need to get on this, and that's it. Walk to your grave for the next 80 years. Fuck that shit, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Why are we propagating that idea? Like, dude, I know people, I have friends, and I know people who know other people in the health industry, and these people are against other doctors and health professionals telling people, oh, you need to get on this stuff. No, motherfucker, you need to get off your ass and do something about it. You can't expect to be given some sort of tablet to help make you feel better if you're not even actively doing something to help you make yourself feel better, bro. Like there's so many things that require us to be a healthy, functioning individual, and all it takes is a few things like making sure you're taking water, making sure you're getting movement, eating real food, not fucking fake food, dude. Like, you're better off doing the exact opposite of what they tell you to do. And then guess what? Then you might look somebody like you or me. You might look like somebody here at HQ who's living a badass life and creating a successful life for themselves. They're building wealth. They're building shit. Like, you can't do any of this if you're suppressed and your mind is literally engulfed in a matrix system and you're plugged into it. You gotta unplug from it. You hit on a few good things, man, that I really liked hearing, and that's part of it. That's the real reality of the world, man. And we have several people here that were 400 and 500 fucking pounds that did something about it. Now they're better husbands. Now they're better fathers. Now they're better leaders in the world, and providing the world with an example of how to be somebody that is leading by example. It's basic shit, man. Everybody thinks there's some sort of secret. There's not, man. There's not any type of secret other than simple actions.
Let me ask you this. So, like, me and you're the same person when it comes to talking. We'll go for miles, and that's a great thing. It's a great gift to have. It's never a curse. But let me ask you a question so we can just kind of stay relevant on this real quick before I forget.
Yeah.
What do you think the root of all this is, right? And because I've had a couple ideas, and I've heard some other people talk ideas, and I really think the reality is, like you're talking about, like now. So I got a quote years ago, and it stuck with me forever. And I've asked a lot of people that I communicate with on intellectual levels this question. I said, do you think the world is worse right now, like more worse right now than it was 100 years ago? Or do you think we just now have the technology to hear about all these terrible things that happen across the globe, right? And people will have a reason for why one or the other. But then I started asking these questions. I said, listen, are people now more mentally unstable than they were 100 years ago, 200 years ago? Or do you think it's the same ratio, right? And to my other answer to my question, I've always said, no, I think the world has always kind of been a rough place. It's just now that we have technology, I can hear about the mass shooting that happened in Cambodia. I can hear about the tsunami that happened in Japan. 200 years ago, you couldn't hear about that. It would take a year for that news to even reach here, right? And by then, you just say, oh, that sucks. Who cares, right? Because you have your own problems. I think nowadays with technology, we're able to see all these terrible things in this world very quickly. So, if there's a mass stabbing in China or whatever, or Russia, or even here, across the states, right? 100 years ago, man, if something happened in Detroit, I'm not hearing about it in St. Louis, right? But go back to my other point, I think it's the opposite of the other. I truly believe now, I think more people are mentally ill than ever before. And I think it's because of a couple of different factors, right? I think one, the poison that people sit in their bodies, I think it's all manufactured, a lot of microplastics. We're seeing that now. Not
Bingo.
conspiratorial by any means, but I just think the facts is the foods that Americans and other people in the globe eat now are much worse than they were, I'd say 80 years ago, right? I know the 50s and 60s was
Yeah.
kind of when the marketing companies for all. I was in the marketing world for 7 years. I know how it works. The 50s and 60s were when everything was jam packed with sugar and trans fat and saturated fats were labeled as bad guys. So what they did, they just pumped it full of salt and sugar and just called it a fucking day, right? And that's why those people in those generations typically are dying of cardiac related illnesses. They're morbidly obese. They have diabetic issues. And then that just starts that hereditary trend of problems, right? On the flip side of that, I think this thing called social media, which actually I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here because we're utilizing a version of that now. But I think social media has really kind of set people's expectations of themselves really, really, really high, right? So, there's always been in the whole, I'm sure, I don't have any factual data to back this up, but in my gut, something tells me that 500 years ago, if I was living in Europe, right, 600 years ago living in Europe, I was still trying to compete on some level with the guy down the street, right? There was still some competition for who's the biggest, who's got the best stuff, right? That's probably just human nature, right? But I don't think that somebody who goes out there and spends $40,000 on fake body surgery and augmentations, and then you have some little kid at home like, damn, I want to be like that person, and then they realize that they can't, and then they kill themselves after trying, right? I just think the factors are now more so people have these unrealistic expectations of life because of social media, and it influences people and it causes mental illness. Everybody's striving to be that next biggest and baddest dude instead of just trying to better themselves and be themselves, right? Everybody wants to go out there and be, top dog, right? And which is great. I'm all for that. I want to be top dog too. But it has to come from the roots in yourself.
There's a right way to do it.
Right.
There's a right way to do it.
Look at this dude who did steroids for 15 years and, had plastic surgery to look like beautiful Squidward, right? Like, I don't want to do that and be motivated by that person. I want to be motivated by the guy that from the grassroots, from the foundation, his whole life has just worked his ass off and became great. So, that's my idea on that. I kind of want to get your opinion. Where do you think this group's from, right? Obviously, we know corporations. You don't have to go down that path. We know corporations. We know companies. We know governments. We know the WEF, right? We know that, right? But like,
it's greed. It's greed. Like, that's 100% what it is, and you can tie greed to everything you just talked about, man. Like, the more greedy we get with technology, the more we realize, oh, hey, we can skip a lot of steps. We can round a lot of corners. And you know what? The guru who claims to be, a fucking a millionaire, he's racking in fucking 30 million a month. Dude, guess what? In 2 or 3 years, that goes away because all he's doing is selling you a fake ad. And this portfolio that he's apparently created that is not, dude, he's making money off of, like, telling you how he did stuff. He's not giving you a secret hack. There is no fucking secret hack, dude. And you got all these bullshit gurus online talking about it. And it's like, man, have not one of you actually shared, tricks and tips on how to actually get there? No, you haven't. All you've done is sell people an idea, and you make money off that. And then guess what? They disappear, and you never hear from them again. It's because that shit is fake, and people, like you said, have false expectations of how to have a successful life, man. Like, there's no hack. You can't round the corners. You have to take step by step and execute simple actions over and over and over for a long fucking time, and that's what it takes, man. That's all it takes. And you talk about social media, not being present 200, 300 years ago. Dude, 100,000% that has affected our mental state as a society, man. Like, dude, we're running through Instagram all the time and all these fucking colorful pixelated euphorias that's fake serotonin and fake dopamine. Guess what? We burn our fucking brains out by staring at a goddamn phone all day long because we think clicks and likes is the most important and fastest way to be successful and popular. No, motherfucker, it's not. The best thing that you can do to get that real serotonin and dopamine is what we've been talking about: moving, getting your ass off the fucking couch not watching your bullshit fucking Netflix series for 5 hours, and actually being a productive human being and part of a productive society. Because everywhere you look nowadays, people aren't advocating that stuff. Why are people not advocating that stuff? Because people like comfortability. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you even remotely want to live a better life.
Yeah, I completely agree 100%. I mean, I think so. There's a lot of false prophets, like what you said out there, preaching X, Y, Z, right? And the only real, I'll be honest with you, man. I come from, I wouldn't say like humble beginnings, whatever. I'm not, I didn't fucking grow up with, like a rag around my waist or anything. But we grew up kind of in the lower poor, and I've created a good life for myself. And you want to know the real hack, man? In my opinion, there is a hack. There really is. And the truth is, it's called fucking hard work, right? It's called hard work. It's called doing the things that people don't want to do, and that's the people you see out there that are really successful. The people that go into work. I have a good buddy of mine. I'm not going to mention names, and he's a father of a newborn, and he's got a son that's 7 years old as well. He's actually the best man at my wedding. I have the most respect for the guy in the world. I take a bullet for him. That dude, he's not the most physical, menacing dude out there, right? He's not the sharpest fucking guy in the world, right? But he's a very smart person, and he's a hardworking person, right? And that dude goes in the office early as fuck, does his job. I call him, so I work from home, so I get some free time, right? When I work from home and I don't have meetings, I'll call him and shoot the shit with him. And then when he tells me, hey, Nate, hey, get back on track, dude. Let's go make some money, right? Get back on track. Let's stop shooting the shit. So why am I saying that is because, it's people like that really are making big strides in this world. And I like to say that I try to do my best, but I have my faults where I slip up. And, luckily enough, I'm surrounded by such a good team of people that I call brothers of mine that get me back on that track. And I do the same for them every once in a while when they slip up. But my buddy, he'll go to the office, be the first person there. Dude fucking, he's got 2 kids at home and a nice wife and a life that he built. He'll get there, probably 7:30, 8 o'clock. Motherfucker, dude, doesn't leave until I'll call him. Hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, it'd be 6:30 in the afternoon on Friday. He's like, oh, I'm leaving the office. I just left. Great day, right? So, it's people like that are willing to put in those hours, put in those efforts, put in that hard work, right? And then when we go to the gym, we used to lift consistently together last year before I switched gyms and he switched gyms. But I'd be there and I'd be like, damn, I'm really tired, man. I had a bunch of meetings today. He's like, yeah, me too, man. But he just had a harder day. And he's still putting in the work in there. So it's people like that with that mentality that are going to be, that leaps and bounds ahead of other people.
Well, what you just said is so important. Doing the fucking work even when you don't want to, and you want to know what that's called? That's called fucking discipline. And there's a mass population in the world that lacks that, and that's half the reason why they're not even able to sniff half the things we're talking about. You have to be willing to get your ass off the couch, like we've been talking about, not just when you're in the mood, every fucking day. Even when you're not in the mood to do stuff. That is the determining factor between great and good. You can't just do it when you're in the fucking mood for it, dude. And guess what? There's 100% track record of people who feel better after it's done, even when they didn't want to. And that's kind of part of the program 75 Hard. That dude, it trains you to fucking do that, dude. You think it's easy to working out twice a day for 75 fucking days straight and no alcohol? No, you just talked about being caffeine and alcohol, kicking that shit. Which, by the way, that also can be tied back into the things we've talked about how those types of substances are legalized. But people don't want to talk about the fact that those are technically drugs that not only suppress our motivation to do anything, but also keep us dependent. That's part of the matrix system that we need to unplug from. There's a reason alcohol is legal, but kills how many thousands of people every single year, whether that's self-consumption or DUI or terrible fucking accidents. Dude, why is it? You have to ask yourself, why is that? And why are we just now legalizing marijuana? Is it because they want us to still be apathetic and controlled? Dude, I smoke all the time, but guess what? I'm disciplined with that. I choose 2 or 3 days out of the week to do that, and guess what? I'm not stoned all fucking day long. A lot of times it's at night after the work has already been done. That's the reward after you fucking put in a very productive day. If you can navigate these things and still have the things that, you know, they want us dependent on. You can still enjoy some of those things, but you have to learn how to not only be disciplined with your life, but even those tools that they want you to be dependent on. Because when you're dependent on their system, they don't have to move a single finger. They can just keep making money off of the stuff that you're dependent on and you're walking yourself to a grave with. And that's the reality, dude. That, like, we got to unplug from this system, all of us. It's a collective effort, because, you know, we were talking about Bug's Life before we started recording, and that scene where all the big bugs saying, hey, we cannot let them figure out that they outnumber the absolute living crap out of us. And
let me quote the actual thing, right? Because it's such a. First of all, one of my favorite movies growing up. I fucking think it's hilarious. The two roly-polies, or whatever the hell they are, I think they're roly-polies. I watched it and I crack up like I'm 5 years old, man. It just drives me nuts, but it's so funny. But anyways, that scene is so undervalued, right? And it's Kevin Spacey who actually plays the lead of Grasshopper. His name's Hopper, right? And he tells them, he says, listen, we survive by keeping those ants in line. I'm once again paraphrasing, not quoting it directly. But he goes, we survive by keeping those ants in line. They outnumber us 100 to 1. And once they figure that out, our way of life is over. And
what's that sound like?
So fucking true.
What's that sound like, Nate? Sounds a lot like the world we're living in right now.
Absolutely.
Well, and the second that all of us figure that out, they're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. Because that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing at First Form. We're trying to wake we're trying to wake all the other ants and bugs up and saying, hey, look what we're doing. This is how you do it. And we're walking examples of, if you stick to it, it works. And we will show you how to do it. We will walk you step by step on how to do it. Because there's some people who have no clue, man, and that's fine. But why do they have no clue? Because no one wants to talk about it. Not one celebrity or, you know, political figure in the world is going to, you know, you never hear these things being advocated or preached about. Only by the ones who care. And that is something I wanted to hit on, because when you're talking about your culture and the business you're part of, that sounds like a strong culture. A strong culture is going to get you to where you want to go in life. You cannot fucking do it by yourself, man. If you want to go fast, do it by yourself. But if you want to go far, do it together. And it sounds like you got a great business culture as well. That's what we got here too, man. And, you know, it's basic principles of stuff like that allow us to be able to have a more successful life when you have a support group and a support system like that. Because, you know, dude, not every day is going to be easy, but when you have that support system, when you have that culture that you're part of, it makes it a lot. You know, you're able to go a lot further. And you know, it's just basic stuff like that, man. You still with me? Looks like we got a technical issue here. Just waiting on Nate to rejoin. So, you know, we're waiting for Nate to join back here in a sec, which is fine. But, like, dude, like, you guys gotta understand, like, this isn't some crazy conspiracy, man. Like, we don't have. There you are.
Sorry about that, bro. I don't know what happened, but the stream stopped for a second.
You're good.
So, I hope you kept talking, because it did keep recording. So I hope you kept talking. So obviously my face will be gone, but it still should be there. So
yeah. So, like, you know, I was saying, like, this isn't some crazy conspiracy, dude. It's simply due to the fact that, you know, the very thing that they created in order to, you know, watch our every fucking move. Like, dude, I'm sorry, everybody that has a cell phone, you're compromised. You're compromised already. Everything that you say and do, it is recorded. It is recorded somewhere by the World Economic Forum. Like, I don't care if it's our 3-letter agencies or what, but like it's not a conspiracy, man. It's just simple way you talk about the hack. The hack is executing small things for a very fucking long time. There's no other secret. There's no other way. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. Like, dude, there's fucking 300 walking examples of that here. And, you know, I was just kind of touching on the fact that that's 90% of the equation. But the other, I wouldn't even say that. It's about 50% of the equation. You want to know what the other 50% of it is, dude? It's fucking genuinely caring not doing it for some other reason, dude. Andy talks about proper intent with every fucking action that you do every single day. You have to be mentally and physically present in the moment with proper intent no matter what you're doing. The conversations you're having with people, trying to help people. Maybe it's the task at hand that you're doing. Maybe, like whatever it is you're doing. That is such an important key aspect that most people forget about. And like maybe they're doing, and that brings me to my next point. Maybe they're doing all the other things right, but maybe it's still not working. And I guarantee you, that piece of the puzzle is not fitting their bill, and they haven't figured that part out yet. And as soon as people figure out that, hey, this world, I mean, my God, dude, we're on a floating rock in the middle of nowhere. That wasn't by fucking accident, dude. I'm sorry, but like I'm somebody who believes in, God, a God figure, so to speak. I'm not gonna get into religion and shit, but like, dude, there's no way there's so many events that had to happen billions of years ago that allowed us to be here. I want to believe that's not by accident. So, this world operates on proper intent. It's an energy that is felt. Like, you can tell when someone you're talking to isn't really with it, isn't really there, and they don't really care. Like, dude, that turns people off. How are you going to motivate someone if you're not fucking present with them and actually caring about their well-being? That is, that's the hack. That's the other 50% of the hack is, executing small things over and over again for a long period of time. But you also got to fucking care. You also got to have proper intent, man. And it sounds like you got that.
I agree. And not even just, this is obviously isn't about me. I like to think so too. I always like to think my intentions are pure. I never try to benefit off the cost of others. I just don't think it's a proper way to live, right? You said two things earlier. One I want to touch on too is that, for me personally, I am not an advocate for any drug of any sort, marijuana, alcohol, or anything. I'm not an advocate, but I will tell you the comparison. I have friends like you that smoke weed every day, and I have friends like other people that drink every day. And there is a noticeable difference between the quality of life, and that's all I got to say. You got somebody like yourself who, I wouldn't be able to know that you smoke weed every day, right? Unless you told me that, I wouldn't have known that. I mean, obviously, if I didn't know you, right? I know you, so I know that's the case. But if I didn't know you, I wouldn't know that. But the other friends of mine that drink every day, even if it's just a couple beers, right? It's either a couple beers or even they're just getting plastered every day. There's a large marginal difference between quality of life. There's a large marginal difference between efficiency in the workplace, efficiency in life, efficiency in relationships, efficiency across the board. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about, what you said about is intent. And I think intent is very underplayed and undervalued, right? I think people do things just to do them a lot of times. So, for example, the guy that goes to the gym, and this is probably a majority of people, right? The guy that goes to the gym because he wants to look attractive to other females, it's never going to – he might get the body. He might get the body.
Hey, that's me. That was me 5 years ago. That was me 5 fucking years ago.
He might be a fucking meathead, great fucking physique. The dude looks perfect, right? Like a chiseled Greek god, right? But what's going on upstairs? He's not confident in himself. He's seeking that dopamine from that instant gratification of, oh, hey, I got to sleep with this girl because I could, I look in this shape, right? But mentally, it's all bullshit jello, and he's got no fortitude. The guy's got no mental fortitude whatsoever, and he's weak. He's weaker than the guy that can't bench the bar mentally, right? So on the outside, he's this beautiful Greek god, bronze shell, right? On the inside, he's molasses, right? So I think the intent in everything, not just weightlifting, just intent in business, intent in life, intent in conversations, intent in words, right? I read a lot, and I've read one time that from a book long ago that do you know why they call in the English language when we spell out a word? You know why they call it spells?
Hit me.
It goes back to magic. Spells, literally spelling words, spells, dude. And words have magic on people, right? And that's the reality of it, dude.
Great fucking analogy.
It's crazy, man. When I read that, it blew my fucking mind, man, because everything's connected through some form of vibration and energy, right? So my point is, dude, have intent when you speak to people. Don't just have pointless conversations. I can't tell you how many times, man, I've been out there with people for business or just for pleasure. I meet a buddy of mine who maybe I don't have a lot in common with anymore. Maybe we've grown apart. I mean, as you know, as you grow and develop, you're losing a large portion of your friends for the better most of the time.
Trust me, dude. Like, you're one of the only ones left.
Dude, well, I'm telling you, man, I'll go out to dinner with people who I would call a best friend of mine 10 years ago, right? And I'm sitting there at dinner and I'm trying to have these conversations, and there's nothing to talk about. It's just there's
Right.
no
And
intent
then
behind what they're saying, right? There's no
right.
value, and I'm not bashing those people. Everybody's on. I firmly believe, and I've said this for years. Everybody's on their own journey, right? And everybody has their own battles and wars that they fight. And they're all. And sometimes our journeys cross paths, right? Like you're on a path that goes this way. I'm on a path that goes this way. And sometimes they go like this, right? They cross, right?
But it's because our standards are the same. That's why you've raised your standards. That's why you don't associate with those people anymore. They've stayed the same, and that's complacency.
I agree with you 100%. But that's to the point where I love. I've never heard anybody else talk about that word intent because I've said it before and people don't really get it. And I know you get it for sure. And it seems like everybody I've heard from Hugh gets it. But it's intent in everything. Every time you bench a bar, every time you squat, every time you curl a dumbbell, right? It needs to be intention behind it. And we're not just intent just to have intent. That'd be like just getting in your car just to drive around. You would never do that. You have a destination, right? But if you had intent just to have intent, it's not the proper intent. It's fucking a moot point. It's pointless. There's no reason why, right?
Most companies just care about the dollar, bro.
I agree. And it's not even just on a company level. I think it's on an individual. Most people, I think, care about the image more than the result internally. And that's the problem, right? I think people make money to buy. People go out there and they'll work their ass off to make whatever amount of money to go out there and dump it on fucking instant gratification shit and things that don't matter, right?
Spot on.
I'll tell you a secret, Eric. Every Sunday morning, I get up about 5:30 in the morning. I hop on a call with two of my mentors. Very successful older men. They're both in their 60s. These guys have made their money. One's a keynote speaker. He's actually speaking at my wedding. I love him to death. He's like a father to me. I've never had a father, but he's one of the father figures in my life. And, he said something today just talking about that, right? Just talking about the whole conversation of what we're talking about with intent. I mean, it's just when I've had these conversations with these people that are like-minded, right, and they have that feeling and they really broadcast that image, it's just so mind-blowing that most people don't get it, right? And I cannot express it. I'm going to ramble here for a second. I cannot express enough the value in that about having the right intent, having the value coming from yourself to where, he said he had a nephew that got like a settlement from something, right? And he got like X amount of dollars. And what did he do? He went out there and bought a Corvette and he bought an Escalade. Now, when my mentor heard this, he went over and said, this is his nephew. He said, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, listen, that Corvette and that Escalade are not going to be in sight in 10 years. They're not even going to be remotely around, right? Not bashing Cadillac, not bashing Corvettes and Chevy by any means, right? Because I love them both. They're both great cars. But when it comes to the grand scheme of life, right, they don't fucking matter. He goes, dude, you could have invested that in something that's going to yield you 100,000 in 10 years or 100,000 in 20 years, whatever it is, right? You could have went out there and bought a bunch of self-help books. You could have started a business. You could have bought your first rental property, right? Like all these things that he could have did with that money instead of dumping it into a keeping up with the Jones mentality item, right? An instant gratification. Yeah, you're gonna look good as fuck, dude, looking at that stoplight with a pretty girl in the car next to you, and you're like, "Oh my god, look at that!" Right? But, dude, internally, you're worthless, and you're dealing with people who also are worthless internally, and that just breeds complacency. It breeds ignorance. It breeds unhealthiness. It just breeds this society of materialism things. And trust me, I'm materialist myself. I wear gold jewelry, and I'm like that as well. But that's for me. I reward that myself with that. It's not for me wearing things that impress other people. It's for me wearing those things that I've earned, that I wear as a badge of honor.
And how did we as a society collectively start thinking this thing? How did we start seeing all this stuff? How did we just randomly... Social media. Because 200 years ago, like you were saying, dude, that didn't exist. And you didn't see all this fucking nonsense that long ago. And you were talking about like how long it took news to spread back then. It's like, dude, I would have almost preferred it to be that way. But it's almost like the very thing that the hopper bugs wanted to create in order to keep us in a corner backfired on them, because now we have access to a lot more shit very quickly. And in some cases, in educational cases, people are starting to see the bullshit. people are starting to wake up and see right through these fucking gurus telling them, oh yeah, you can make 30 million if you just do these little things that I have here. Click the link in my bio. Fuck off, dude. You will not be around in 2 or 3 years just like the rest of them, man. It's just like it's these rotating faces. It's really funny. It's like, man, we gotta unplug.
I agree. And I think nowadays too, man, people are so, and I don't mean this literally, but I mean in a figure of speech wise. You talked about a higher power earlier. I believe in a higher power as well. I'm not going to get into it because my personal beliefs doesn't matter to anybody but myself. I have a personal relationship with what I believe in, and anybody else can believe in whatever they want, and that's okay. That's the best part about being human. You get the right to do whatever the fuck you want, right? But I think people are so quick to sell their soul for that instant gratification, that instant high, right? Yes. My grandfather, another father figure in my life, one of the best men I've ever met. He is 83 years old, and I was talking to him about, he grew up in a cotton plantation in Mississippi, right? They had a dirt floor and a tin roof, right? Very, very poor, just very, very, very poor environment, right? And I was talking to him, I was like, hey, what was kind of like the foundations of just for example, eating, right? And he was like, well, every once in a while, I'd say once or twice a year, we'd get ice cream or something, because it wasn't readily available, right? So those sweet treats were out there and they were getting it once every year, once every 6 months, maybe even just once a month, right? But we have all this bad shit that was meant to be as a special occasion at our disposal because we're such an instant gratification society. There's people out there eating fucking McDonald's and cheeseburgers and ice cream and cookies and cakes every single day. That's a staple in the diet because it's just readily available. And they forgot, hey, this is supposed to be a treat, not a daily thing. So that's all I'll talk about as far as that goes. I think you're hitting a lot of good points. I think everything that we've talked about is super valid. And I hope it doesn't offend anybody. This whole purpose, once again, guys, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you align with, no matter what tribe you're in, just be better. Just get better. And I'm not talking about be better, get to the level where you're competing with somebody else. Compete with yourself, right? Compete internally to be the best version of yourself. That's really all it is. I have some weight I need to lose. I have some other things I need to work on. Eric, I know you're dealing with things as well on your side, no matter what it is. Just please keep pushing that envelope and keep pushing that needle to the positive direction. Eric, we're almost at an hour here, so I wanted to finish with just these last couple thoughts real quick.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I want to touch on the physical side real quick, and I want to touch on the mental side. And I don't need, obviously, we know the beliefs and rants that we both just went on, so we don't need to go down that bridge again. But I do need to know what, on the physical side, give me your, in a 24-hour day, right, because we all have the same amount of hours, same amount of seconds. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Give me your routine. When you wake up, tell me everything you do until you close your eyes.
So, dude, when I first wake up, and, again, before I even dive into it, it's doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, with that being said, my breakfast, something as simple as that, it does not change, dude. I fucking wake up, I make my fucking 3 fried eggs, and I throw my fucking finely, what the fuck is it called? Sharp cheddar cheese on top of it, and I have my yogurt. I have my yogurts, dude, and that's a great way to start the day because what am I doing? I'm feeding my body protein. I'm feeding my body micronutrients to perform at an optimal level. And, dude, how many people do you fucking talk to skip breakfast? How can you expect to function and not feel depressed when you're skipping the most important fucking meal of the day? Dude, our society literally teaches people not to fucking eat. Why? Why are we being taught this? Because they don't want us out of the corner. But from then on, I love getting to work around 7 o'clock, 7:30 every single morning. And here's the funny thing. So back it up real quick.
What time are you waking up?
Oh, dude, I'll wake up anywhere from 5:30 to 6 o'clock. There's no in between. It is punctual every single day.
To double down on the breakfast part, because I agree with you 100%. I'm a guy for years skip breakfast.
Yeah.
Fucking just didn't have time, whatever excuse, right?
How'd you feel?
You feel shitty, right?
Yep.
But here's my thing: is I want you to encourage this, and I want you to say this again. If you are going to eat breakfast, eat the right fucking thing. Don't eat a bowl of fucking Captain Crunch for breakfast. Eat the right thing. No. I think your 3 eggs. I have 26 chickens I raise. I get about 2 dozen eggs a day. Listen, I eat eggs all the time. I love them. I think the eggs are great. A protein, maybe a turkey bacon, and some yogurt. I have a yogurt and with protein clusters, granola I mix in. I agree with you 100%. So my message there, if you're going to eat at breakfast, eat right. Go
Eat
ahead.
the
I'm
right
sorry.
fucking foods, because if you don't, if you consume the wrong ingredients, you're gonna get an explosion, man. Whether that's mentally, physically, or emotionally, even. Like there's a reason, bro. 50 years ago, a lot of our foods ranged from 3 to 10 to 15 ingredients. Nowadays, you look on the back of and
Hundreds.
there's so many people that don't do this, but I'm always someone that turns the back of a fucking, like if I see something that attracts me, I turn around and I look at these fucking ingredients that are linked to cancer and all these, cardiac arrest and all these things, and people are like, oh, well, it's genetic. Oh, what's it? Like, bitch, the fuck it is. Then why don't you be the black sheep that breaks the cycle and spells and curses in your family and actively work to step away from that lifestyle, because it's not genetic, it's not hereditary, it's your bloodline making poor decisions, and that's what it comes down to. Like, you can't expect to be healthy when you're consuming 60 fucking ingredients per serving, per meal. Like, it doesn't work that way. Eggs, protein, turkey bacon, bro, those are simple fucking ingredients and they're good for you.
And they're
So
cheap.
I start with that, and it's cheap, it's cost effective, bro. Like, people are, one quick example before I go on my day, because it's real shit. Like, I'll be at the grocery store and I'll see people racking up $200-$300 worth of things, because I can see the dollar amount at self-checkout now, since nobody wants to work a fucking line at Walmart anymore. And you look at their grocery bag, dude, you look at their grocery cart, it is fucking 5-6 rows deep of giant fucking chips, it's soda, it's fucking all this bullshit. It's like, dude, what in your mind goes off in your head that says, oh, I'll be fine, I'll be healthy doing this, and then you wonder why you can't pay your bills. You can't pay your bills because you just spent $300 on fucking bullshit, when 1 to 2 weeks of food supplies for me is literally anywhere from $60 to $150. It does, like, bro, like, it's just a matter of making shit work. And being efficient with it. You got to be efficient with it, man. Like, if I'm, if I'm not out of a certain, like, dude, just to give you a quick rundown: eggs, beef, rice, cheese, yogurt, are these basic things. Like, what's the common denominator? Simple, over and over and over and over, bro. That is the hack. That is what we're talking about, man. It's simple actions over and over again, even with your fucking food, man. Like, people think, it's too expensive or they don't have time. No, man, you do have time. You're just not prioritizing and being efficient with your time, and you're also choosing the wrong fucking things to spend your money on. Of course you're going to live in the fucking plugs system of the matrix world that we live in, because people don't want you living that way that we're living. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. I will say it till I'm fucking delirious. Andy does all the time. But yeah, man, so like going from breakfast, like, I'll wake up 5:30 to 6 o'clock every morning, because I'm someone, dude, I mean, by default, I technically work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, right? But we don't ever look at it that way. We don't ever look at it as, oh yeah, we do a 9 to 5 job. No, we show up to build our life and careers. That's why I'm always here at 7. I'm here at literally 2 hours before it even starts every fucking day, because I'm getting that much more ahead during the day. I feel that much better, and I'm also an early bird, dude. Like, I am so much more productive in the morning, and hey, guess what? Sometimes when you get here early, you get to leave fucking early. How, imagine that. So, the daily life of a first one person's, ranges from various activities here, whether you're on the media team, whether you're on calls, whether you're on customer service, or maybe you're coaching through the app, or doing what we're doing, virtual, like, dude, one coach literally impacts over 400 people's lives. And that one person, that is just one coach that we have out of the thousands that we have remote and here. It's insane what one person can have an impact on people. And guess what they're doing? They're teaching people how to do things like read, drink water, track your macros, simple fucking shit over and over again, because there's a lot of people that don't know how to do it. And then, so for me, I fulfill a lot of Andy's stuff. That is a huge honor and privilege to be able to distribute and fulfill his brands, like his children books, his children's series, Otis and Charlie, based off of his bulldogs at home. It's one of his best projects. He says it's the most fulfilling project he's ever done. Things on the 75 hard spectrum, we also take care of. My shirt, Arate, that is That is specifically a program he has created for entrepreneurs. Like he's an entrepreneur. He coaches entrepreneurs. It's called Arate Syndicate. Arate Syndicate is literally called personal excellence, and that's why he says personal excellence is the ultimate fucking rebellion, because it is. People don't want, the World Economic Forum doesn't want you successful, flat out, because when you're successful, you're no longer giving them money, you're no longer giving them your dependence, because you're independent, and that is the whole goal of life. And so like from there on, like after we get done with a basic day of work, which involves at least 10,000 steps a day for us, or more, then I go hit the gym. I go fucking hit the gym after that, because most people, they turn their engine off. They're on autopilot, they're going through the motions, they're not having proper intent. They go home and they sit on their ass for 4 hours, when you could have just used half of that time to go have a productive workout, fill your brain with serotonin and dopamine, build your fucking body, fortify yourself. And guess what? I could go home, spend another one of those 4 hours reading, and then guess what? I still have an hour, maybe another hour to do whatever I want, because now I just had a productive ass day instead of sit on my ass for 4 hours after work. And it's just that determining factor of great, good, and mediocre. And a lot of people are down there in mediocre, dude. And on the weekends, it has become my most, dude, I used to do nothing on the weekend. I used to be that Monday to Friday person. Weekend, I look forward to weekends so much, because I can take my time. I have 3-hour workouts sometimes instead of 2. I go around HQ, get my fucking steps in, get my sunlight in, bro. Like, it's a whole ordeal. And these are the simple basic actions that people don't think about. And another thing that people don't think about that impacts their life happens the day before they even make the next day. What is that? Sleep. People don't fucking understand how important that is, and what that controls our hormones, our thoughts, our actions, our energy levels. Like, bro, do you know how much sleep is neglected in all this? Like, you can't have these equations work for you if you're not prioritizing that. And what keeps people up late at night all the time? Entertainment, the fucking matrix system, again, keeping us up late. We want you to watch your all of this shit so you're not productive the next day. I am someone that used to go to bed at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, gaming all fucking night. By the way, I was really fucking good. I was that kid that had the 5 KD on Call of Duty. But anyway, I hardly touch video games anymore. Do I still do them? Yes, but it is monitored. It is, again, I am disciplined with the time I do on that, because at the end of the day, dude, we all need to have, some hobbies and vices where we can relax and unwind from. But it's when we get siphoned and sucked into that fucking matrix system that pulls us into what usually is 1 hour, which is about how much I time on game now, like maybe an hour, hour and a half, turns into fucking 12, 13 hours a day, dude. There's people who are doing that, but then there's the conversation of, well, if you're actually making money doing it, if you're actually making, but that's proper intent. People who spend that much time gaming nowadays, there's a very small crowd who's actually being productive with this, streaming and making money doing it. Cool. You actually have my respect for doing it. But if you're doing literally nothing with it, if you're not making it productive and part of your life for some other reason other than monetization, bro, get unplugged. Get out of the fucking matrix, because I used to be that guy. 13, 14, 15 hours a day turned into 1 hour, maybe half an hour at times. And it's not even every single day. And where I'm going with this is, I cut all that time out, dude. I started going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I have never felt better. My testosterone levels are through the roof. And that's something I struggled with for a long time, because I was putting the wrong ingredients in my body, man. Like, I looked okay, but I'm like, man, I feel depressed. Like, what's wrong? My testosterone levels all out of whack. Bro, you got to prioritize real food and sleep.
I love that, man. I think you're so right. And, for me, I'm one of those guys, too, where I naturally, Eric, I only need about 4 hours of sleep, naturally. I don't need a lot of sleep. But I will tell you, am I really at my peak efficiency on 4 hours of sleep? Definitely not, right? Am I able to get through the day and be functional and be efficient to some degree? Yes, of course, because I just have that natural thing with me where I only need a little bit and I'm okay. But I will tell you, the nights that I have a good sleep, and it's not like, hey, I went to bed at 2 a.m. and then I slept till 12, right? That's not the good sleep. The hours is not what I'm talking about. It's It's the timing of it, right? So going to bed at that, I mean, me personally, I would never be able to go to bed at 8 o'clock. There's just no way. There's no way. But going to bed at 9, going to bed at 10, going to bed at 10:30, going to bed at 11.
Still a good time.
It's still decent in that bracket, right? Yeah. I commend you for going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. You're a fucking maniac for that.
I do that every day.
But I'm saying, just the fact that you can do it. I love that. I love that, man. I respect the hell out of it, dude. I really do, because that's a hard task itself, right? Because the whole world is away. But having that separation between the matrix devices, right? I was notorious for my whole life. I've always slept with the TV on. This last, I'd say, probably 45 days, I've started sleeping with the TVs off. Like, when I get into my bedroom, we have a big 65-inch TV in there. When I get into my bedroom, TV's off, phone's on the other side on the nightstand, not even near me. I have my alarm set. I have emergency contacts. If somebody needs to call me at 2 a.m. because something happened, they can get a hold of me. But there's no blue light. There's no pixels. There's no fake dopamine, fake serotonin coming in. It's just darkness, a fan for some noise, and I got the AC cranked to 62, right? And
I love it.
Best quality of sleep I've ever had. I wake up good. I don't want to have that, I don't wake up groggy. I don't wake up wanting to hit the snooze button 100 fucking times. Like Saturday morning, for example, my soon-to-be father-in-law and I, we went out, and my little brother, I own some lake property out west, and I fish there all the time. Fishing is one of my things where it's a positive dopamine receptor. It's not video game receptor.
Positive happening. Yeah.
Right. So we wake up at 5 o'clock. He gets here right at 5:45, and we drive 45 minutes west to get out there. Right. And when I wake up for fishing and I have a decent amount of sleep, dude, I'm great. Everything's perfect. Life is perfect. I'm at a fucking high. Right. I'm on the top of the world. There's nothing that could go wrong. Right. But when I get 4 hours of sleep because I stayed up all night doing whatever and I got to work the next day, you're cheating yourself, man. You're cheating yourself out of everything. You're cheating your company you're working for. You're cheating everything, right? You're cheating your goals. So give me just a quick timeline. No more explanations. I think we covered everything. Give me a timeline. Let me know from, hey, 5:30 wake up, 6:30 eat breakfast, 7:30 I'm at HQ fucking kicking ass, 1 o'clock eat a lunch. Tell me what that lunch is very briefly. Right, and then go every day, hour by hour. Let me hear it, man. The good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, man. So like 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm waking up. Now I don't like showering in the morning because I like showering when I'm home, at night, and that's when all the grime comes off. But like that's the way I've transitioned. I didn't always used to be that way, but yeah, I'm waking up 5:30, 6 o'clock. 6:30 to 7 o'clock, it's breakfast, and then I'm out the door, man. Like by 7 o'clock, 7:15, I'm gone. Like, and think about these time frames already. It's a short window, dude. I'm maximizing my fucking day to a T. And then, I'm only 15 minutes away from HQ, so that's a fucking blessing. And once I get there, I am immediately, getting into my computer. I'm 7:30. I'm getting into the computer. I'm looking at our orders. I'm looking at notes to start the day. I'm seeing if anything needs to be taken care of in our aisle that holds all of our all of our things, all of our the products that we distribute and facilitate. And from 7:30 to 8:30, like I'm doing all these things to set up and prepare the day, right? Like I'm a huge preparation guy. I am preparing the workday for that long, and then that's when we finally get started on our things. We personally, the most warehouses will take an invoice and throw it in the fucking order, and then that's it. They don't give a fuck. No, man, that's not how we do things. That's never our standard. We like taking the time to connect with our people by writing them something in the invoice, whatever it is. It's every fucking, and it is so, by the way, that is impractical as fuck. 10, 15,000 orders a day, we're all writing to people, but we still do it anyway because not many fucking other companies out there want to connect to their people like that, man. That means, dude, some people don't even get interactions every day, single day. And when they look at that fucking box of perfection, a complete flushed box, the order is perfect. Like, bro, that tells them something. That is a story in itself. It's like, man, these people give a shit about me. So, but yeah, like, not to get off on a tangent again. Like, so we're busting ass all the way till noon is when we usually take lunch. And lunch, like, dude, my lunch never changes, just like the breakfast. It is our sustained assimilation, which means slow digesting protein powder that makes you feel full, and it mimics whole food meals when you cannot get a whole food meal source. It is the best fucking thing ever. And I dump that into 2 packets of oats. I do not change that for a fucking thing. And then I go about the day, and usually in the afternoon I like having 2 of the same sustained assimilation except in a protein bar form. It's called our level 1 bars. Or I have our meat sticks. 20 grams of protein, MSG free, no nitrates. You know, you go to the gas station down the street and it might have like 7 grams of protein, but it's got all these fucking bullshit chemicals in it, and it's mechanically separate, bro.
Yeah.
Our meat sticks is 20 grams of protein, pure fucking meat stick. Like, dude, it is the purest form ever. So, you know, like, so that's the afternoon, and then by anywhere from 3:30 to 5 o'clock is usually when we get off. It depends on how efficient we are with our stuff from 7 o'clock until 3. Like I said, you show up early, you get to leave a little early. But, you know, that's why there's that default 9 to 5 window. But after that window is when I get ramped up for my workouts. Sometimes I like going in the sauna, sitting down and reflecting and self-assessing on my day. Like, what could I have done better? What could I have done more efficiently? And that kind of helps prepare me for my workouts. And then I slam our fucking Project 1 workout and just bust balls on whatever I want to fucking throw around. And I get a good an hour and a half to 2 hour workout. And then by that time that's over, it's 6:30, it's 7 o'clock. I'm home. That's when I take my freezing ice cold. Dude, water therapy is a real thing for ADHD people and people who have anxiety. Get your ass under freezing fucking water. And that's another thing they don't teach you about and talk to you about. Why? Because they want you dependent on medicine. We won't get into that. I'm just saying. These things that people don't fucking talk about, man. Why? And then there's obvious reasons why. And when you get your ass under freezing ice cold water, it's the best fucking thing ever. It sucks at first, but when you start doing it over and over again, like we say, simple things over and over again, it starts to get, you start to just lean into it easier. It doesn't get easier, but you lean into it easier. I love getting under that shower at home when everything's done, and you know, but my day's not done. I still might be studying some documents that helps my career growth. Dude, we read personal development. We got this thing called DEBGR. It's mimicked after the military. It's a 3-tier system that helps you progress your career. There's raises that comes with it, opportunity, etc. There's all these things you got to do. It takes a lot of time too. Like on average, it takes between 60 to 80 days to complete one of the tiers. I'm through tier 1 and I'm trying to get tier 2 done. But you read books, you do reports on them, you share how it connects with your life here and how it's going to progress your career here. And then you take, you know, some tests on product knowledge. Like, bro, like I don't know any company that does this shit. Like we want to know people are bought into this future and this business culture. Yes, motherfucker, we are a cult. Because what does cult mean? It means culture, god damn it. And these fucking journalists people are out of their minds by saying that, but you know, things like that. But anyway, you know, like it's 7 o'clock at night, I'm still doing stuff like that for personal development and career growth. Like maybe it's just something as simple as doing laundry. Like, bro, you know how many times I've walked into my friends' houses and their laundry is just piled up? Like, bro, that is a small example of how your standards are and how you live life. I'm sorry, that is the reality of it. And you know, I'm making sure things are situated for me to think, okay, I'm cool, I'm comfortable. Now I can take time to, like, by 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, that's when I take time to relax. That's when I take time to go outside. Dude, I go outside on my deck all the time and just visualize, reflect, and try to manifest things I want in my life. People don't understand how much power that is. And if you do it every fucking day, bro, you start attracting what you want in your life. Big time. It's called The Law of Attraction. There's a book about that we actually have to read. We don't have to read, but it's encouraged that we read that stuff here, and it's part of our program, you know? So, and occasionally I go out and smoke a joint. Like, I don't even do that every single day now. That's huge for me to step away from, because I used to do that every fucking day, man. But like, again, it's real moderate. It's real disciplined, even in that regard. And, you know, by 9:30, I'm ready to go to sleep. Maybe I go game for a half an hour, but anywhere from that window of 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm out. And then we restart the whole process.
I love that, man. I mean, there was not one thing in your regiment there that I thought was bad, incorrect, unhealthy. There's just nothing, and I'm not an expert by any means, but in my opinion, there's not one thing that you said in there that I thought would be like dangerous, detrimental to somebody's health, maybe shouldn't be done. I mean, I have one question for you, then I want to get to the last section of this, which will only take a second. So I have thought about doing cold plunges and cold showers forever, man. I've just been a bitch and just haven't bit the bullet and did it. Everybody I listen to, from Joe Rogan to PBD to all these guys that I look up to and I admire, they always talk about how benefit of it is. And I have a buddy of mine who does it and he loves it. Now let me ask you this: when you jump in, right? Are you showering, like cleaning yourself in that cold water, or do you just sit there and brace the suck for a couple minutes and then switch to hot for the actual cleaning side?
What you just said, that's exactly what I do. Because, if you're not actually cleaning, like, you want to actually fucking clean yourself in a shower,
right.
Man, but yeah, man, like that's exactly what I do. I get in there, I stand under that fucking nozzle for 3 to 5 minutes just to mimic a cold plunge. Like it is like the shower head is literally on top of my head. It is ice cold fucking water, bro, and embracing that suck. And then I step away and clean. And then I get back into it and shower it off, because like you can't just, it's pretty important that you clean.
You can't. You just want to fucking clean your body the way you should, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes cleaning yourself in that freezing cold water. I mean, we're humans at the end of the day. We just don't have the body composition to do that. All right, so I appreciate the clarity. I have not showered today either. I've been kind of busy all morning, so when I do shower here in a little bit, I think I'm going to give that a try, and I'll let you know my results. Not going to send any pics, but I will give you some verbal results. So how I want to end all these is simply this, man. This was a fucking awesome conversation, dude. It was awesome to reconnect with you like this, of course. And I love the insight that you brought. It was just awesome. I hope this leads people to not only question themselves, but to better themselves, and to also reach out to positive influences like you, like people at First Form. Maybe pick up something that Andy's written, or maybe listen to something that he said. Follow people that are like-minded. But
podcast.
Yeah, worst podcast, even better, right?
Watch
this one first and then watch his. But I'm going to give you the option here. I need you to tell me one quote. If you could leave with everybody, what's one quote? It could be something that you've said, something that you've read, whoever said it. Give me one positive quote that you could leave for everybody here that ever sees this.
It's a tough one, man, because like you said, both of us have read a lot of stuff, man. Just to narrow it down, one, damn, dude, it's tougher than it sounds. It really is.
It's supposed to be tough, right? It's supposed to be something.
You know what? I got a good one for you, and it's on the front of our walls when we enter HQ every day, that's the design, is so all of us see it every fucking day. And it's simple, and it's been preached by our CEOs. I think this is good for the first one that we're doing today. And it says, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. And that's it. And what that means is you have to treat every single day with aggressive patience. And what aggressive patience is treating every fucking day like it's life or death. Every step that you take, every thought that you take, every action that you take, you have to treat that next move, whatever it is you're doing, like it is life or death that bridges you from where you are now to get you where you want to go. Because the reality is a lot of people waste time. And before you know it, they're 30, 35, 40, and they're still questioning their life and what to do with it.
I love that, man. I think you're so right. Well, all right, brother. Well, that was awesome, dude. Fucking congrats on everything. Congrats on your success. I look forward to continue watching your journey and how you progress down the line. And, I'm excited to be a part of it in whatever capacity I can be, brother.
Likewise, man. I think you already are, especially with us doing this. It was really important to me. I really wanted to reserve time to do this. This is actually my first time I've ever done a podcast. So, and I feel like I've been doing these forever. Just because I'm able to pivot, I'm able to swing, I'm able to talk, and just really critically think about stuff, man. And that's an ability that I think people need to start learning how to do systematically throughout our entire, not just nation, but our entire world. It's a pivotal thing that will allow people to get to where they want to go in life. And I think this was really productive, dude. I'm super glad that you wanted to do this, and I like what we did.
Yeah, man, me too. Well, in that case, man, let's go out there and be better.
Sounds good. Let's be better.
See you, bud.
See you, dude.